Okay, this video is going to briefly go over the topic of dither and why I recommend avoiding it for almost all uses, except maybe a couple that I will mention at the end of this video. First of all, what's dither? Dither is a way of adding noise to a signal to fill in the blanks, basically. And that's the oversimplified version. There are much more detailed versions out there and the intense math, which I'll link to a couple articles in the description below. But suffice it to say that it's a process where noise is added to a signal. And of course, noise is pretty much, unless we want it there, unless we put it there intentionally, it's not something we want. So in this case, I've got a piece of audio that's been exported from propeller head reason, and I've used the 16-bit dither option. The DAW doesn't really matter. We could use any DAW for this process. But I want to take a look at this file. I can see here I purposely picked a blank track, so there's no content there on purpose. And I can play this, and it's basically pretty quiet. However, if I do any kind of gain adjustments on this audio, let's say, just for example, I wanted to normalize this to negative 3 dB, I'm going to get a bunch of noise here. It's not only audible, it's very visible as well. And this is all because of the dither process. If I took my 16-bit no dither file and I did the same thing, I can see, well, it starts out as being a very quiet file, which is intentional. There's no content there. If I go ahead and normalize this, I'm not going to see that noise because there was no dither applied. And the same thing goes for the 24-bit file here. The bit depth is different, but I didn't use dither at all, so I'm still not going to have any dither there, no noise. So if you're sharing files between collaborators and you provide 16-bit files that are dithered, you're actually providing them with a noise problem that they're going to either encounter as they make level adjustments or any type of additional processing. This noise would also be processed if I applied reverb to this. It's just a problem that you're handing them when you give them that audio. Now, when would you want to dither? The only time that I typically dither is if I'm going to format something for delivery on CD, because the CD format requires it to be 16-bit. If my audio is not already 16-bit, I may need to dither to get down to that level, and I may audition my files in different export formats to find the one that I feel is the best. And that kind of goes beyond the topic here. What I'm talking about here is collaborating with other musicians and trying to provide each other with the best audio possible, which I always recommend as 24-bit no dither. And I typically work in 44.1 kilohertz, which is a whole other topic in terms of sample rate. But I think seeing this example and hearing this example clearly demonstrates why you want to try to avoid dither whenever possible when swapping files.